and you thought last year was fun. Hello and welcome to the weekly crypto review. Let's go right into the charts and into the numbers. I've got something important to talk to you about this week. So first off, if you look at anything, pretty much everything over a 7-day period, just about everything is up. Theta is down. Okay. Die. Okay. But pretty much everything else is up for the week. Bitcoin is up 30% over the last week. Fantastic. And if we look at the actual chart, this is, we'll just go back. This is the peak from 2017. This is that massive peak that everybody was wondering when we were going to get back to it. Well, it's way down here. Okay. Now, this is just the beginning. And while I still expect a pullback, we've seen a little bit. We saw, if I take my ruler and I go from the top of this candle to the bottom of the shadow of the candle next to it, it's about 17% drop in 2 days there. So we've had some pullbacks, some pretty good pullbacks, in fact. And you know, this was one of those where if you were in America and you were sleeping, you missed it. It was just that quick, but it still counts. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about today is your exit plan. Not because I expect this to, this, as parabolic as this looks, this is the weekly chart. It looks much better on the daily. It's not nearly as parabolic. It really, your time frame is going to determine how good or bad a chart looks. This looks bad because it looks parabolic. It's not. We're having pullbacks. We're having consolidation. We're having all of the things of a healthy market. So I'm not concerned about it. I expect that this run is going to go till somewhere between October and December of this year. But I personally, and this is where I say this is not investment advice, this is not financial advice, I personally have my exit plan in place already. I've had it in place since I got back into Bitcoin in April of 2019, because I know the markets, there are certain things about the markets that always happen. You know, as much as if you're listening to the mainstream media, and we all know, we watch these people and laugh because it's kind of like watching them in 2016 when Trump was running for president. They saw what was happening, had no clue what to make of it. Same thing's happening with Bitcoin. They see what's happening, but they don't understand it. It doesn't fit their paradigm, so they have no clue what to do with it. And if you watch them, you see this. That hype, pretty soon they're all going to be on the hype train, and retail, the dumb money is going to come in, and it's going to literally going to shoot to the moon. When it does that, the last few weeks of this bull market are going to go fast. You're not going to have time. If you don't have an exit plan, you're not going to have time to put one together. So put one together now. That's what I've done. I've got my exit plan. Simple enough. Okay, I've got my bubble pop indicator, the green line and the red line. These are just moving averages. That's all they are. So over here on the side, it says BPI, bubble pop indicator, and it gives me a number for each the red and the green line. Well, when those numbers cross, I know that the top of the market is hit. Okay, as much as everybody on mainstream media and all of the talking heads say that this time it's different because it's full of institutional money. Yeah, that's different. Absolutely. The cycle still remains. The one thing that never changes, markets go up, markets come down. Never changes. So I know for a fact that this market is going to go, if it follows the 4-year cycle that it has been, it's going to go till around the end of this year, at which point it's going to peak and it's going to drop off sharply, like off of a cliff, sharply. Now, what have I done? What's my exit plan? Well, first off, I did a little bit of calculating. And I did this before I got into the market. I wanted to figure out where the top might be. How do I figure that out? Well, what I did was, because this is the 4th bull run in the life cycle of Bitcoin. So what did I do? I took a look and said, from the bottom of the market to the top, to the peak, How many times did Bitcoin double? How many times did, from $1 to $2 to $3 to $4? Each of those is a 1x. Okay, so if it goes from $1 to $10, that's a 10x. What was that x? Okay, for each of those bull runs, and then I averaged them together. I added what I get. I got the numbers from each of the three. I added those numbers together and divided by 3. That gives me an average. So what's my average x up? Well, all right, now if I take that, now I had to fudge the first one. First one would have been 0 to to $100 or something. I couldn't use 0. You can't use 0 and get an accurate number. So I started with $1. I understand the famous pizza. Buying a pizza using Bitcoin roughly put the cost of, or the price of Bitcoin at about 3 cents a coin. I wanted to use something a little bit easier to do math. I don't math. So I used $1. So from $1 to like $100, it was 100x, roughly 100x, something like that. So I put those numbers together and then took an average and then said, okay, if the low for this bull market was $3,200, roughly, and I multiply that by the average amount that Bitcoin has gone up each of the 3 other times that it's gone up, what price do I end up with? Came out to $257,000. Now, when I first said $257,000, people thought I was crazy. We've gone from roughly $19,000 to $40,000 in about a month. Doesn't look so crazy anymore, does it? Now, the other thing I did was, okay, let's do the same thing for the downside, for the bear market. If I am at the peak and it drops to the bottom, what is the percentage drop for each of those 3 times that it's done it? And again, average them together. And I came up with, I want to say, an 84% average drop. So if we have a market that peaks at $257,000, what's the price going to be after it drops 84%? Well, that comes out to $29,000. Those numbers seem good. They feel right based on what we've seen prior. Okay. And of course, as every good investment advisor says, past performance is no indication of future performance. That's absolutely true. But while history doesn't duplicate, it does rhyme. So we can, if we choose to, take what has happened in the past and use it to extrapolate what might happen in the future. That's all I'm doing, is extrapolation. So what's my plan? Simple enough. As I pointed out, I've got my bubble pop indicators. I fully expect a price of $257,000 at a minimum. Again, these are ballpark guesses. I don't need it to be exact. Ballparking it. That's all I'm doing. I think that $257,000 at this point per Bitcoin is a low ball estimate. I think it's going to go above that. So I'm not too concerned until we get to $257,000 and my indicators here show that we are in a bubble. At that point, I'm going to start looking at this very closely. And as soon as these 2 lines cross, and I'll know it because these numbers back here, the red and green numbers over here, they will be the same number. On the daily chart, even on the weekly chart, it doesn't matter. They'll be the same number. Once they cross, I'm going to take my Bitcoin and I'm going to move it to a stable coin. This is my plan. You need to make your own plan. But my plan is to move my Bitcoin over to a stable coin. USDC, DAI, something like that. Knowing full well that the market very well, because it's going to have momentum, the market very well could continue up a little bit. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to be close enough to the top that it's not going to be significant. Simple as that. And then I'm going to wait for the market to drop over 2022, because it usually takes about 1 year for it to drop down and hit bottom. And in 2023, I'm going to put it back in at the bottom of the market. So I'm going to take all of my Bitcoin that was priced at $257,000, and I'm going to buy back in at $29,000. I'm going to be able to afford a whole lot more Bitcoin at that price. That's my plan. That's my exit strategy. Now, I know what I'm going to do because this is something that I have come up with, that I came up with back after 2017. 2017, 2016 is where I started really looking at Bitcoin. 2017 is when I got into it, and it was that, okay, let's take a ride and see what happens. Let's see how this works. And then from that point on, I started to do research, serious research, and looking at the market as a whole, and came up with this strategy. So it's an overall strategy, and it's not just for Bitcoin. It's for everything that I hold, whether it's ADA, USDC, Litecoin, BAT, Civic, Chainlink, any of these. Okay, it works on, because I've got the same lines for all of them. It works on all of them. So if my calculations are good, I should be able to pull my money out of each of these coins close enough to the top that I don't care if I miss it. Okay? And again, hold on to them until each one hits the bottom. They're not all going to hit bottom at the same time. I can watch them as they drop. Bitcoin's probably going to hit first, probably. But even if it doesn't, all the others are going to be at such a low price that it won't be that big of a deal if I miss the bottom by a significant amount. And we'll do it all over again, okay, for the next cycle. This is my plan. This plan probably won't work for you. You need to come up with your own plan. What are you going to do? What is your exit plan? Figure it out. Run through it as many times as you have to memorize it, so you know exactly what you're going to do and when you're going to do. When the market looks like this, here's what I'm going to do. Once you've done that, once you've got it to the point where you can do it in your sleep, now you're ready for what's going to come, and you can sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. And that's what this year is all about, is enjoying the ride. I'm not planning to put any more money in to any more of my crypto investments. I've got plenty in. I'm going to sit back and enjoy the ride at this point. Why not? Because I know that by the time this is over, assuming that I hit my marks relatively well, they don't have to be perfect, but relatively well, I'm going to come out of this much, much better off than I started 2019. That's the goal. For me, that's the goal. So you need to figure out what your goal is and then come up with an exit plan that allows you to achieve that goal. You've done that. Now you're ready to sit back and relax and enjoy life. Because if you hit your marks well enough, you'll be able to sit back and relax, enjoy life for the rest of your life. That's the idea. So that's what I had for you this week. Not a whole lot of analysis, not a whole lot of markets, more along the lines of get prepared. Prepare now for what's to come, because we know it's going to come. Like I said, I know, the mainstream media, they're all saying, and all the big names, Novogratz, it's different this time. It's always different. It's always different. Every market, they say it's different this time. No, it's not. Yes, there are some differences. This is going up way faster than last time. Way faster, which tells me that it's going to go up way higher than last time. Okay, not going to complain about that. But as far as the fundamentals, markets go up, markets come down. Those are fundamentals. That always happens. That never changes. Be prepared for when the market comes down. Prepare yourself with an exit plan. That way, when it happens, you're ready. Everybody else loses out, but you keep yours. So, that's what I got for you this week. Remember, don't trust, verify. I'll see you next week.